Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Unravel Your Mind. We're here to transform relationships to love and to life. And I'm excited because, as every week, we have so many great questions submitted, and I'm excited to get through them. And if there's anyone that is watching this on replay, please do not hesitate to put your question in the comments because I will answer it next week. If you're here with me live, feel free to put in the comment section any additional questions or any clarifications or comments about the questions that we're reviewing today. All right, so let's jump right in to this week's questions. Opinion on microdosing mushrooms. Is it a fad? Is it good for us? What's the downsides? Well, that's a really great question because I think that it is becoming a little bit of a fad in a sense where everybody's microdosing. Okay, not everybody. If you're somewhat in the spiritual genre, or you are someone who is looking for some really great mental wellness, you may have come across information on magic mushrooms, psilocybin, and microdosing. I don't really want to call it a fad because I think that, microdosing and mushrooms have been around for so long. In fact, one of the things that comes to mind to share is that if you look back at some of the biblical artwork, you'll see mushrooms along with Jesus and other really profound well, I guess I would say sages, right? Others that have walked the planet very enlightened. And so mushrooms and psilocybin has been around for a long time. It's not something that's new or a fad in that sense, but I think it's kind of a fad in the sense of a lot of people are now starting to look into it and they're opening their minds to it. They're wanting to explore, how do I get out of the heaviness of what's happening right now on planet Earth? There's so much going on, whether it's something that's happening to you in your life and your relationships specifically, or it's something happening in your community, or it's something happening in the collective consciousness. There is a lot happening right now. So I get it. I'm a big fan of microdosing. It's not something that I do all the time, but it's something that I do find to be just a really great way to just boost my neuroplasticity. We drink coffee like no tomorrow. And if you've read Michael Pollan's book, it's the book on plants. I have it over on my desk, but he talks a lot about caffeine and about coffee and the coffee bean and the activations that it can produce in your brain. And so I think looking at microdosing like that is also something that will become very mainstream. We've looked to Mother Nature to help heal us for years, whether it's homeopathic, naturopathic, witchery, alchemistic ways, however you want to look at it. It has been around for a long time because Mother Nature is here to help heal us. So don't be afraid of these little mushrooms. They are here to help heal us, and they're here to help heal us back to wholeness, right? Heal us to our innate connection to the divine, to our own inner intelligence, and to get out of this crazy mind mess that we are experiencing here. But it's a good thing. We need this right now. We need to have all of this craziness happening, because otherwise you guys would just be like strolling along, you guys meaning everybody out on planet Earth, strolling along sort of like in the Matrix and not really realizing that there are programs at play. So the mushrooms also help us to just get a little bit beyond some of the programs so that we can get out of some of the self-doubt, some of the self-judgment, some of the sadness, just some of the heaviness, the energies that are at play that just don't make us feel great a lot of the times. So don't look at it as, something that you're going to lose your mind or any of those things. It's not that at all. Microdosing mushrooms is better than coffee. It's better on your gut. I don't have all the clinical data, but I'll tell you what, I know a lot of people that do. And I would highly encourage you to look at my psychedelics resource guide on the website. I list so many amazing clinical operations and many websites and people that are really on this scientifically. They talk about how the mechanism of action works and all of that. And so me not being an expert in the details of how it's working on our brain chemistry, I think it's best to head over to bethbell.me and pick up that psychedelic resource guide to find out. So thank you for asking that beautiful question. And if you have any more questions about psychedelics or mushrooms, I am happy to answer those because they are Mother Nature's medicine. All right, let's go on to the next question. What is a good way to stay in your own hula hoop and understand that you can only control what is in your hula hoop and to not worry about what you can't control? Well, just pay attention to your hips and your hula hoop and stop looking at somebody else's hips and how they're moving them or not moving them, because it's about being in you, right? It's about being in your hips. And it's about you working with the energy of that hula hoop. I know what you're saying, but let's use the example. It's a fun one. I love the hula hoop idea. It's a ring fence. It's like, this is my domain. That's their domain. If you're looking at their domain and you're worried about what's happening in their domain, you're not going to know what's happening in your own. And a lot of times we use these opportunities to just divert ourselves, to complain about someone else, when the work is here. The work is within us. The work is, something we've got to do about us. So the more you're looking to your external world, the crazier the stuff is going to get. So really focus on your own hips, focus on your own feelings, focus on bringing, whatever it is that's happening into your body and really sitting with it so that you can get the lesson. Because if you stay up here and you stay in the mind and all you're doing is like, what's going on in my mind? And you keep thinking the same thoughts over and over and over again, then your hula hoop, let me tell you, is going to be pretty crazy. But you're still responsible for only your hula hoop and how you embody and how you release and how you allow yourself to feel the emotions based on whatever it is that's happening in your life. So, it's that judgment that we want to put out there, right? And then I also want to just say that when we're in our own hula hoop, be careful of that self-judgment, because in that hula hoop, you got to love your hips. You got to love how you move them. And if you don't love how you move them, then move it another way, right? So you're in control of everything in that beautiful hula hoop. You just got to see it as beautiful. And you can take, from other people's techniques and how they do their hula hoop if it works for you. But if it doesn't, leave them alone and let them do their hula hoop. And if their hula hoop drops, that's fine too. Thank you so much for this fun analogy. I love the idea of talking about, really being in our own world in the sense of a hula hoop, because it's a great way to look at it. So thank you. All right, let's go to the next question. What's the difference of manifesting versus allowing? Okay. I love this one too, because it's something that I've struggled with for years, and every once in a while I still wobble on it. Manifesting is something that you're putting your intention out there into the world, right? And a lot of times what's happened to me in the past, and as I said, sometimes still even today, is I put something out into the world with intention, right? It's like I've anchored it in, I've said it, this is my intention. I then felt it, using all the basic laws of attraction, felt the emotion of it, became it, saw it already in my field, in my life, in the 3D realm. And then boom, like, where the heck is it? Well, that's where the allowing comes in, right? So they have to work in balance. It's not one or the other. Allowing is when you really get into your feminine and you receive, right? And I don't mean feminine in a woman per se. I mean it in your receiving energy. And if we aren't receiving, one of the most common issues we have is self-worth, that we don't think that we're worthy of it. Otherwise, it would be there automatically. So we want to be in this receiving mode, or there's a lot of things that are in this realm. It could be that you think you have to work hard to deserve it, right? Like, your mind has all of these ideas and these programs as to how this whole place works. And the idea is, and why we call this unraveling your mind, is because you want to get out of those programs. You want to clear anything that is not serving your higher good. Okay, a program that you learned and got instilled, if you touch the stove when it's hot, you're going to burn your hand. That's a program you don't really want to delete, right? But if it's a program that you got to work hard and be humble, I mean, that's what I got. I grew up in North Dakota, right? Small town of 2,500 people. I've been around the world. In fact, you can read all about it if you're interested in my Angels, Herpes, and Psychedelics book, Unraveling the Mind to Unveil Illusions. But the reality is that, yeah, okay, I'm getting off a little bit on a tangent here because we're talking about allowing, but I'm talking about the programs that stop us from allowing and receiving. So for me, one of them was that I got to work really hard and be humble. I'm not saying you don't work. I'm just saying that you got to get rid of this narrative and this idea about working hard. Like, well, why can't we just receive? We did when we were in our mother's womb. We didn't have to work hard. We were just beings, little beings. We came out. We were absolutely helpless, and we allowed ourselves to receive, right? And then the program started coming in. The program started coming in from our parents and whoever raised us and all of that. So manifesting is setting the intention, feeling the emotion, and then you got to allow it to come in. So it's not different. It's just working in tandem. I mean, it's not in competition, I should say, with each other. It's just working in tandem. So it's a beautiful part of the mix. And I think early on, my observation is early on in the awakening journey, the manifesting is kind of easy. Like when you first step into the magic, it's almost like spirit's like, okay, let's make this easy so that they start really believing. And I say they and all of that. And I just mean your higher self. I mean, all the different dimensions, your guardian angels, everything that's here to help support you, but it's all part of you. It's all an aspect of you. Anyway, so when you come in, you're really willing to just to come into awakening. You're willing to just put something out there with excitement to see if it's going to come, and oftentimes it does in these early stages of awakening. And then you keep going along the journey, and spirit's going to test you. Your higher self's going to test you. Oh, I don't like that word, but I got to use it. In an initiation, that's almost a better word, right? So you've called in to your soul plan exactly what and how you wanted to experience different aspects of yourself. And so you're allowing yourself to get a few more challenges, right? Like, oh, let's up the ante on this. Let's just see if we can make it a little bit more difficult for him or her to bring in whatever it is that they want. And so as you do this, you're going to be asked to take it to another level of trust. Right? Because in the beginning, you're like, oh, yeah, okay, well, I don't know. Do I really believe it? Let's let it go. I feel it. I know it, and it happens. And then there's like this extra self-doubt and universal doubt that comes forward. It happens to me a lot, as I've gone through different realms and ascension steps, if you will. I'm like, where is it? Where, is my manifestation wand broke? Like, what the heck? What's going on? So, and then I get into that questioning and that doubt and, maybe I'm just not doing something good enough. I haven't thought about the intention enough, or, oh, I didn't feel it enough. And maybe those things are true, but it's all the mind. And another interesting thing I'll share that came up, on one of my spiritual medicine journeys, I was shown so eloquently how everything is completely available to us now in this moment. And it's such a wild concept. But I was shown this beautiful horizon and this bright light on this horizon. And it's like just slipping through and getting beyond the mind to actually just manifest and allow everything that is here for our highest good. It also helped really understand that biblical term, the eye of the needle. Sorry, I can't remember exactly how it is, but getting through the eye of the needle. It's in the Christian Bible, and I was like, what do you mean by that, right? I get it now. I get it. It's like when you really let the mind set aside, you're going to be right in the flow of the magic. And that's where it all happens, not in the mind. All right. I think I've belabored that enough now. Let's go on to the next question. Okay. I feel like I have old hidden emotion that is holding me back. For example, I realized that when I sold my bungalow a few years ago, I felt like I was selling my dream of having it as a second home. I think the money I received from it might have been tainted because it wasn't something I really wanted to sell, but it made financial sense at the time. Is it something I need to clear? Well, if you're asking the question, I would say yes. I would say that there's definitely something there for you to clear, something in there that's just, a judgment, a thought, an energy line about you should have done something different, or maybe you could have done something different, or why didn't you do something different, or why didn't the universe provide something different? Those are all questions that, hey, look, like they're legitimate questions, right? But they're not questions that are coming from your higher self. They're questions that are coming from your ego mind. And your mind is trying to put ideations around your behavior. It's not that it's bad, it's just that it's limiting. So, depending upon where you're at in your whole idea of everything, you may really find that you're so narrow-minded in your thought process that if you stepped out of that and just said, let me look at this from a bigger perspective, you could say, oh, but the sale of the bungalow gave me all this money so I could do that, right? Whatever it was. And all of those things have helped me live a great life. But your mind could come in and say, oh, well, if you would have saved it a little bit longer, you could have got a little bit more because the market went up, or, whatever. Maybe the market went down. Just listen and let it go. Oh, yes, that's a thought, but I've already sold the condo or the bungalow or the whatever, the house. You've already done it. So there's no good in coming back to it now, revisiting it, because it's just a self-judgment that's coming from a program in your mind that you are struggling with. So yes, clear it, but get to the core of the program, because it really has nothing to do with your bungalow. It really doesn't. It has to do with the idea that's embedded in your brain, in your mind, in your consciousness about how you think you should be or act or behave. And we got to let all that shit go, because all of that is not going to get us where we want to go. It's just going to keep us like stirring the pot, right? So look, we can sit and stir in the pot as long as we want. There is nothing wrong with that either. But the whole point, I think, of any of you watching this is that you're like, let's get to it. Let's like get into my purpose. Let's get into the flow. Let's be in this beautiful energy of which we came here to live in. So let's not wait. Let's not delay. Let's get to the core of these programs, blow them up, release them, let them go, and then be in the bliss of it and find all the beautiful things that you're grateful for that came as a result of the sale of your bungalow, right? Because otherwise, if you sit in the other stuff, it's not going to feel good. So really just feel into what is that deeper lesson. And I think you're going to find some really juicy nuggets there, actually. All right, let's get on to the next question. Ooh, what's the purpose of heartbreak? Why can't we just fall in love and stay in love? Breakups are so draining. Yes, I agree, aren't they? So why not just take all the lessons? Heartbreak is a beautiful thing. I know all too well. I talk all about them in my book. In fact, I never thought of this as a heartbreak book. And Angels, Herpes, and Psychedelics, Unraveling the Mind to Unveil Illusions. I've never thought of it like that, but I've had several people say to me, oh, it's about all your heartbreaks. I'm like, well, that's not really what I was getting at, because there's all about my entrepreneurship and all these other things. But let me tell you, I have endured a lot of heartbreak. a lot of betrayal, a lot of disappointment, all that stuff. And I'm like, why the heck would I bring this in? I mean, all the way down to sleeping with the devil in India, right? That's one of the chapters in here. It's juicy. You're going to have if you drink, probably a stiff drink and I don't know what else afterwards before you can move on. It's a bit challenging. But anyway, this isn't about me. It's about how we all call in these lessons to help us ascend. Heartbreak happens to everyone. It's not always romance. It's family, it's friends, it's work. Things that just break our heart. It's the loss of a pet. Things that just put us on our knees, right? And we're like, why is it possible that I could have asked for any of this? I do not want this. But on some level, on some soul level, you have called this in for growth. So without heartbreak, there's not the deep heartfelt lessons. And that's where the juicy stuff is in the heart, not in the mind. The mind is fun, and it's fun to fantasize, and it's fun to ideate, and it's fun to create with the mind. And so that's why the mind is never a bad thing. Well, never say never. But it's something that you want your soul in the driver's seat, not the mind. And I don't know, 90%, maybe it's better now. Maybe it's 80% of people are walking around this planet with their mind in the driver's seat and their soul sitting in the back seat going, whoa, like, wait. But when you've got your soul in the driver's seat and your mind is sitting back there, it's a whole different ballgame. Because then you're just kind of like joyriding, right? You're just like, okay, I'm on the ride. I'm here. I'm present. Let's go where we're intending to go, right? So show me the way, as opposed to let me make the way. I mean, it's like, it's so basic and it's so hard sometimes. So hard. All right, I digress a little bit. Purpose of heartbreak, right? So the purpose of heartbreak is that we call people in to break our heart so that we can let it crack open and we can let the light shine in. But look, a lot of people, what they do is they close that heart and they say, I am never letting that happen to me again. Ever, ever, ever. And they put up the armor, and it happens a lot of times in childhood, right? Because it goes back to our first core heartbreak wound. For a lot of people, that's that a mother or a father left them, showed their love in a really bizarre way, made it very conditional. Could be that teenage love when you fell so madly in love with Jimmy or Susie or whoever. And then they broke your heart and you were like devastated, right? Like, oh my God, what it feels like to fall in love for the first time. And you're like, they complete me. And then the heartbreak happens and you're just devastated, whether you did it or they did it. I mean, it's always going to come back around at some point. And each one of those heartbreaks gets you closer and closer and closer to connecting with your innate inner wisdom that is connected to the divine. It doesn't matter what you believe in. This is not about religion. I just want to say that. It's about embodying who you really are in the light, connected to the source that is running everything here, right? That's telling Mother Nature to grow a leaf or crash a wave or any of those things. It's all of that energy, that life force that is innately within each one of us that we're so disconnected from. Because if we were connected, we are connected, we're always connected. But if we knew we were connected, and the only reason why we don't is because the mind takes us into a storyline and a direction that is not who we really are. It's who we think we are or we need to be for somebody else. So I'm always going to bring us back to that core connection that is our own inner wisdom, our own self-love, and it's who we really are. And we're here to embody it and emanate it out. Okay, super old memory coming to mind to share about this. Do you remember the movie Cocoon? I don't remember the whole movie, but I remember one scene. That one scene was when the alien was in the pool with the guy, the more earthly guy, and she became the ball of bright white light, and she basically like gives the guy on the other side of the pool like what feels like probably a full body orgasm just by merging her light. I know, but it's real. It's real. That's what I'm talking about, is bringing in more light. When we raise our vibration, we bring more light into our bodies, and then we exude that light back out into the world. And that, my friends, is what we're called to do right now, is to get into that light. Every heartbreak is bringing you closer to the light or drilling you deeper into the dark, but it's your choice. It is your choice. If you want to go down there, close the heart, I'm done, not going to do that again. It's your choice. That is the beauty of this planet. We have free will. I'm just saying, like, hey, take the love train. Take the inner wisdom love train, because that is where you are going to expand and grow and contribute to humanity as a whole. I mean, seriously, this is just like, we've got to do this now, not tomorrow, not later. Do it now. All right. Hopefully that answers your question about heartbreak. If not, write me in the comments. I'm happy to expand on it. All right. Next question. Oh, well, and I just want to say that breakups are so draining. They are when you see them as something outside yourself, as opposed to something that's here to help you heal. It's here to help you heal. Here, okay, I missed one of the big things about heartbreak. You attract people into your life to mirror you. You've heard of this. This is like psychology 101, right? They mirror something about you so that you can see that aspect of yourself. It's always something you don't like, but then you want to say, oh, no, it's them, and you project it onto them, right? Psychology 101. When you really take it in and you go, oh, that's me. There's something about myself that I'm seeing or they're reflecting, right? Abandonment wound, whatever it is, neediness. They're helping you by showing you. And when they break your heart, they're helping you. So get the lessons. You got to dive into, what is it that I called this person in for into my life? What is it? If you don't get it, you're just going to attract it in the next relationship. Seriously. So you got to get this one. Again, if you read my book, Angels, Herpes, and Psychedelics, you'll start to see my themes. You'll start to see like why I'm calling people in. I don't like to talk about things that are not available, but I have written the first draft of the Romantic Love Illusion. I'm super excited to launch this. It won't come out for a little while yet, so just hold on. But you'll definitely see the threads and the patterns, especially if you are an empath, a light worker, somebody who knows that you're here for a bigger difference, somebody that's here on the awakening ascension journey. Yeah, wow. Watch your themes. Watch your themes. And that's where your inner bliss is, but you've got to blow up the programs along the way. You can't just shove them down and just be like, oh, I'm not going to attract that again. No, you are. Until you get rid of whatever that deeper core program is, you're going to keep attracting the same stuff, right? Okay, so much more I could say about that, but let's go on to the next one. All right. My father passed, and the funeral isn't set for 3 weeks. I don't have a say in the date, but I think it's inhumane for his funeral to be pushed back. What to do? Well, I don't know. First of all, why is it inhumane? I mean, that's just a judgment right there. It sounds like, I don't know, a bit of a distraction. I'm sorry. I don't want to not hear you and validate your feeling. I understand that you might feel that, not having any say doesn't make you feel good. And I get that. So that let's acknowledge that first. But saying that it's inhumane, I mean, like, I don't know, is it? I guess what comes to mind is I'm thinking about, when I lived in Bali, the villages, they call them banjars. They every 5 years would have a big cremation celebration ceremony. So if your loved one died, let's just say like the day after this cremation ceremony, you had to wait 5 years to do the cremation ceremony, which is the funeral. 5 years. We're talking 3 weeks. What they do with the body is they literally wrap it in cloth and put it very, very shallow into the ground, and they wait until the next ceremony, and they do it as a group. So I'm not saying you need to take on like, the Balinese ideas around, death and dying and ceremonies and all that. No, I'm not. I'm just saying that it's just a belief, it's a thought. And I feel like this is a little tough love, but I feel like you're using it to not, as a distraction, to not go deeper into whatever your issues are. I think you need to get a little bit more anchored into you. And I also think that it's about trusting that everything is happening just as it should, because you might need those 3 weeks. Yeah, you might need the 3 weeks to just really feel into the emotions so that you can show up and be present in a way that you want to be. So I would suggest that it's your higher self, maybe protecting you, maybe not protecting, but supporting you at this really, really difficult time. I know when death occurs, it's really challenging because everyone suddenly has a very strong opinion about everything. And honestly, it's just a big part of it is the patterns from the past are coming forward, and our emotions are so raw. But, if you can take advantage of that vulnerability, it almost brings tears to my eyes to think about it, because, when you're in that real vulnerable place and, you're in your heart, and you're just like feeling it, you're like really feeling it. That's where the work is. And it's beautiful because when you release it from the heart, not just like, oh, got this, mine, done. But when you really get in there and you really feel it, the ideas about the 3 weeks aren't a big deal. It's about reflecting on that person in your life, the fact that they're gone, supporting the other loved ones that are still here, being in the bliss and if you believe in previous lives, future lives, they're going to be in a better place, no matter if they're in their body physically or they've left the body. And maybe in those 3 weeks, that spirit that left the planet, your dad, maybe he's doing his magic on the other side. And maybe he wants to show up at the funeral in a different way. So, my friend, I think trust. I think feel deeply into your heart. Just be aware of maybe some distractions that you're might be using to avoid that heart-centered place. And use this as a time to cry it out. Everything. Losing a parent, no matter if you had issues with them or not, is hard. And just like heartbreak, it's obviously another form of heartbreak. It just allows us a time to have our heart break open and for more light to shine in. So really, don't gloss over this. Take the time you need to really be in it. I'm actually, as I'm saying all this, I'm really happy that there's this 3-week delay for you and for your family and for the spirit that crossed. And you just got to trust that that's not where your energy needs to be, judging about timing on a funeral. All right, dear, my heart's with you. Thank you for asking the question, and thank you for being vulnerable to let me answer it. All right, let's go on to the next question. Phew, that was created a little emotion for me. Thank you. Give me a second. I'll have a little sip of my Buddha matcha tea. Maybe I'll take a quick break too. I've got a different setup today. I'm looking at a different screen so that I can see your questions better, and it's creating a little weirdness for me. So, I want to look quickly at the comments. So Oh, I love this comment. I want to make love. Oh, make love. Yes, I want to take the love train. Yes. As you said, heartbreak happens to everyone. I realized a heartbreak could only happen when I care so much. I will embrace my heartbreaks more positively from now on. Yay. I love that. It's like, let's not get caught up in the craziness of heartbreak. Let's get caught up in the bliss of heartbreak. I know, sounds like a weird dichotomy, but okay, let's get on to the next question. Do you believe in soulmates? I think there's a lot of terminology that we get sort of stuck on. I believe we have lots of soulmates. We run in soul circles, so when we leave this particular lifetime, we come back into another lifetime with a lot of the same souls, and we're all working on our soul contracts that we have with each other that are helping each one of us on our ascension journey to really ascend to this higher state of embodiment of love within us so that we can share it with others. So soulmates. Yes, I believe in soulmates. I just don't think that they're quite like what a lot of people say, which is, oh, he's my soulmate, or oh, she's my soulmate. Sorry to laugh, but it's just that everybody's your soulmate in some way, because everybody's here reflecting an aspect of yourself that you want to see and that you want to feel into, and you want to learn about yourself. But there are some individuals that you definitely have a strong soul contract with, and I would call them soulmates. I just wouldn't get caught up in the idea that there's one person out there for you in this lifetime, because there may be one person that you spend your entire life with in a romantic relationship. I'm not saying that it's not possible. It's totally possible. I'm just saying that I think a lot of times we get really caught up in the ideation around like the word soulmate and like wanting to find the one. And the one is you embodied in your light-filled love. That's the one. So it's going back to your first marriage, which should be with you, yourself, and your soul, right? And lining up with that. And then everything else is pancakes and bliss from there, because then you're loving yourself so much that you're not as a narcissist. No, no, no. You're loving yourself so much that you can just unconditionally share that love with someone else. So a narcissist is someone who loves with condition and that needs to be loved with condition so that they can feel that they're, that person. So back to the soulmates. We do have lots of soulmates, and just don't attach the romantic aspect completely to it. I know there's a lot of discussion also about twin flames and all this stuff, and they're all fun and great ideas. I'm not discounting them completely. I'm just saying, just don't get caught up in them, because yeah, there are people that we have incredible connections with, and they provide some of our deepest lessons in this lifetime. So those are our soulmates. And twin flames, are people that we think we're cut from the same cloth, but the reality is we're all cut from the same cloth. But some of us do have vibrational essence with someone else that is more in line with where we're at in our ascension journey in this lifetime. So that's where we're starting to feel like, oh, I'm a twin flame with someone. And you may be, but just don't put so much emphasis on it, because it's not really that. Then you're still viewing why? Because you're still viewing yourself as separate. And the idea of this is that who you are. I'm still Beth Bell. I'm still Beth Bell. My friend likes to call me an action figure. Character, right? You're still your character, but you want to bring that character in its fullness and in its full embodiment of love and light into a relationship where that other person can do the same. And if not, they're going to pull on you, and there's going to be lots of lessons there. So just think about it that way. We're all here. We're all one, but we're exercising ourselves in character with all these different characteristics that make us, who we are, playing our little roles and our little characters. But it's always about unconditional love for ourselves that we share with others. Okay, let's get on to the next question. I've been sick with the flu for over 11 days. I'm feeling down and wondering why my body isn't fighting this off faster. Well, right now is a really crazy time. There's no one in my inner circle that hasn't been sick recently. Um, there's just some really, really interesting bugs out there, viruses out there that are messing with us. And not that I want to say misery loves company, but in a sense, like it's happening to the best of us. The 11 days, the 12 days, the 15 days, it's tough. The number one thing you need is rest from a body perspective. And the number one thing you need from a mind perspective is to line up and get out of all of the negative self-doubt, looping, circuitous loops of thoughts that are serving almost no good. And I say almost because where they are serving good is it's bringing forward. So do you know what I'm talking about? Like with this particular virus slash bacteria slash combination, whatever it is, we don't need to name it. It is really bringing in these negative thought loops. It's bizarre, but it's taking people down. Like when they're really like no energy and they're just like, and then these loops come in and start sabotaging you. But take it as a really good opportunity because it's bringing like that shadow side of you, like that self-doubt side of you, that all that shit side of you that you're like, I don't want that. But yet you're like, but I feel like I am that and I don't want to be that. And oh my God, should I do that? Wait, should I just go back to this? Should I just do this? It's that questioning, right? That we get taught at a young age, that questioning and scenarios and all this. I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm just saying that the mind runs wild with it. And so when you're down and if that stuff's coming up and you're getting those circuitous loops of thoughts, you got to center. And the best thing you can do is if you're in a place where it's warm and you can get into sunlight and just feel yourself connecting and bringing that sunlight all the way in through your body and down through your toes and into the earth. And then just see that whole loop, right? If you're not somewhere where it's warm enough where you can sit outside and be in the sun, shut your eyes and pretend that you're seeing the sun and feel the warmth, feel the glow. Maybe you burn a candle, maybe you turn on a light, and then you just, with your eyes closed, you can still feel that eminence and that glow of that white, bright light that's warm and supportive and cleansing, and just bring it right on through your body. And you'll start to feel a difference. At least you'll start to feel potentially reconnected, but I don't mean like push away everything else that's coming. Like whatever it is, like get your journal out, write it down, and then start asking the white, bright light, your higher self, what is this and why is this surfacing right now and what to do about it? So it's all coming to you for a reason. There is a reason why this is happening. There's a reason why you're down. There's a reason why you need to take rest. There's a reason why you need to just look and observe. I like to call it mind monitoring. You got to monitor what's in that mind. You got to figure out like, oh, geez, I didn't know that doubt was still in there. I didn't know that crap was still in there. I didn't know that wound was still there, right? So you get in there and you figure out what it is that's still lurking. And then you say, thank you. And you let it go, boot it out, boot it on out. Okay. So don't worry. If you're 11 days, 12 days, then that's what your body needed and your mind needs to clean and clear. So sit with that. Get the lessons. Otherwise, you're just going to get sick again or you're going to bring something else in that brings those same darn thought loops back around. All right, let's take a look at the next question. Let's see here. I have this fear of letting go of my own personal will. How do I step through? How do I get the deeper lessons? Well, that's a great question, isn't it? The fear of letting go of my own personal will. How do I step through? How do I get the deeper lessons? You step in, not exactly through. You will go through, but you got to step in as step one. So awareness, right? You have that. You're asking the question. Awareness that you really want to be connected to spirit and divine as opposed to your personal will. I wanted to look at the exact word you were using, your personal will. We have free will. So when you say personal will, I feel like that's a little bit more in the ego mind area of things. Free will, and again, this is a little bit semantics, but free will is more in the heart-centered, spirit, let me flow through life kind of place. So a little bit different places. And I think your ultimate question is how do I get there? How do I get into that free will flowing feeling in my life? And how do I let go of my personal will? And that's letting go of the mind. It's unraveling the mind. Because, okay, this is what comes to me. If you've got a website and you have all these plugins, something's going crazy with your website. If you just take all the plugins out, the whole website is like, doesn't work. If you start to take out one plugin at a time and you start troubleshooting, oh, it's that circuitous loop of thoughts that's the plugin. And you take that one out, right? Then you start to make progress and your vibration raises because your heaviness isn't there. You're not deeply in that belief system. You brought awareness to it. And then you take another plugin and you're like, well, let me take this one out, right? And then you get back to like the core template. And then you start bringing in light instead of like hardcore plugins, right? You start bringing in the freedom of it into your own website, into your self-creation, because now they're plugins, if you will. I don't really like that word, but upgrades. They're upgrades that are plugins that are upgraded in a different way for you to be able to bring more light in and run more love through your body, because you're not focused on the subconscious mind program or thought or feeling or experience or trauma that you've had that's keeping a lower vibration in the background, like a bad plugin that's in there just causing havoc, but you don't know how or why or what. But once you, it's that plugin, then you take that plugin out, right? And then you might want to put in a plugin that's upgraded, that works better with the whole system. So we're constantly wanting to pull the plug on the ideas and the programs that are from lower consciousness, then bring in and plug in the upgraded versions, right? So that we're moving in an ascension, more light, higher vibration way, that we're not just going deep into the dirt of it all. You've probably heard about, the worlds are separating, and they are. And I don't mean to like make it sound jokingly. It's just happening. It's been happening for a long time. It's not like, I'm sure there's lots of things that could happen that, that would, like 9/11 happened, right? And that jolted us. There's natural things that can happen. We don't need any of those things to happen to know that we're separating. Either you're for oneness or you're for separation. You're for fighting for my ideas and my beliefs against my brothers and sisters, or you're, let's go into the love and the oneness of this. Let's go into how we can be together and really work together. And the only way to do that is to start dismantling some of these ideas, right? Like we can see when there's other countries that are fighting, we can see, they both have different agendas. They both have different ideas. They both have different ways of looking at things. And that's what's creating the chaos. And when we're outside of it, a lot of times, or even like divorce, right? The mediator can see, okay, this and this, right? There's like two different sides. And so it's about bringing those beliefs about things the value of that chair, or that painting, or that whatever people are fighting over, right? and and letting the value of that go, because it's an attachment to something that's not serving your higher good. So it's also about releasing the attachments. All right. Hopefully that's helpful. If not, I'm happy to explain more. Please write in the comments. I'd love to hear, and we can dive deeper into it if necessary. All right. I think we are down to the wire here. Yeah, we are. And I've got a couple more questions, but I think what we're going to do is we'll save them for next week. And we'll add any other questions that come in on the replay. I thank you so much. Please, if you've liked any aspect of this video, please like, subscribe, ring the bell. You'll be notified of all future videos that come up. I'm going to be launching something new, so that's going to be coming. I'm going to kind of hold back on some of the details. I'm excited to share it with you, though, and I'm not exactly sure when it's coming. It's still in flow. The universe is still guiding me as to how this is all going to come out. So please write me, let me know how you enjoyed the show, what you think about the questions, the answers, any questions you have. I'm happy to answer them. And I am so grateful for you each week for submitting so many fabulous questions that we can all learn from. So until next week, I'm wishing you only bliss and love.